Welcome to The Clear and Present Stranger, your guide to coping with the covert narcissist. So if you want revenge on a narcissist, especially a covert or vulnerable narcissist, I have good news, I have bad news, and more good news. The first bit of good news is that this plan, when implemented, is all but guaranteed to work, and takes very little effort to carry out. The bad news is that if you were seeking retribution in the traditional sense, Mwahahaha, I've got them right where I want them now. This will destroy them. Well, then you might be a little disappointed in what I had to share with you. The next bit of good news, though, is seeking retribution or to attack someone is really not good for your soul in the first place, now is it? Especially against someone who's so clearly emotionally damaged. From a psychological standpoint, it's a little bit like kicking the crutches out from underneath someone who has a leg injury. Narcissists love them some drama, and the last thing you want is to give them any needlessly. Doing anything just to spite them will only leave you looking over your shoulder, waiting to find out what they're going to do to you next in retaliation. They actually want you to take revenge against them in the traditional sense. It's what makes them tick. It's just more narcissistic supply for them. They love to play the victim and would like nothing better than to have one more thing to show their family and friends, well, the ones that are presently talking to them anyway, what a horrible person you are. They won't show them everything that they've done to you. They will just show what you've done to them. And if your goal is to make their life miserable, I have some news for you. This just isn't possible. Why? Because someone else has already beaten you to it. They are so unhappy inside that they have to try to take it out on others. And quite honestly, in most cases, the best thing to do, and perhaps the only thing to do, is to practice stoicism as much as humanly possible. That age-old saying, the best revenge is living well, isn't just some cheesy line that your grandmother made up, and has never been more applicable than when you are dealing with a narcissist. So in short, you're going to have to let minor violations of the court order in your child custody case slide without even so much as a mention. You're not even going to bring it up when they fail to pay their fair portion of some relatively minor expense, or when they've made up some lie about you. You're just going to breathe deep and let it go. And whether you realize it or not, you will be choking the narcissist of their supply and making them even more miserable than they already were. Now, in my heart of hearts, I can honestly say that I don't want anyone to be miserable. No, not even the narcissist. Okay, well maybe a little more than a little. Okay, I digress. But there comes a point when the need for self-preservation makes it necessary. For instance, I don't hate grizzly bears or want to see any of them in any pain. However, if one comes looking for a light lunch while I'm out hiking, I wouldn't hesitate to break out the bear spray. On the other hand, if I catch a bear digging through my picnic basket, I'm just going to watch him eat my food from a safe distance and let him wander on his way. Once you apply these philosophies, a narcissist will be less likely to bother you, as they will likely go out and try and find their narcissistic supply elsewhere, because you're just not willing to give them much, if any, reaction to anything that they do that doesn't absolutely demand otherwise. Eventually, they may ramp it up. They may even ramp it up to the point where they leave you no choice but to respond or react. You might even have to file court action or call the police, but you're going to have to decide where that line is. But my point is that if you don't sweat the small stuff, then there's that much less likelihood that you ever get to a really serious situation where you have to take action to begin with. One example that crosses my mind: my cousin co-parents with a woman that oftentimes does not respond to his messages in a timely manner, or sometimes at all. And while this is a violation of the court order, she's done it so many times with no consequences from the courts whatsoever that my cousin doesn't even bring it up anymore. And after some trial and error, this is the best way that he's found to deal with it. Say he messages her and he asks her if she's willing to trade a date so that he can have the child on a particular occasion that he wants that happens to fall on the week the child is with her mother. Frequently, he won't get any response at all. Yet, lo and behold, a few months down the road, she will ask him for a similar favor. Now, if he tried to get revenge on her by ignoring her message, he really doesn't gain anything. And given that she does sometimes respond to his messages and sometimes does agree to the trade, it's really in his best interest to do the right thing and just message her back, either agreeing to the request to trade dates or respond that he's unable to oblige this time, but maybe next time. Either way, he is sure to respond promptly and politely, and as if he's not even bothered in the least by her slow or non-existent responses. And in the grand scheme of things, he says he's really not that bothered. He's just come to accept that that's the way she is and that she's not going to change. You see, if my cousin treats her the same way that she's treating him by not responding to her messages promptly, in an act of revenge, his ex will just seek pleasure in the fact that he's obviously irritated by her lack of response and that he's thus retaliating. Now, whether he responds to her messages quickly or slowly or at all could barely even be considered revenge. But you're going to have to learn to apply the same theory to larger issues as well. You're going to have to ask yourself if taking revenge is really the right thing to do, especially given that you're dealing with a severely wounded individual. Remind yourself that this person is deeply traumatized and that that's why they're behaving the way they are. Remember that all they want is drama and to get a reaction from you. They want to know that they've gotten under your skin. And if you act out in any kind of revenge, you are giving them the reaction they were looking for, and they will be right back for more. Once you have identified them as a person so deeply wounded that they are behaving like this, you can play the role of the happy and content stoic who refuses to make things worse for everyone involved by reacting to anything that isn't completely necessary. When these techniques are applied, you'll find that you stop complaining about them nearly as much to your friends or family. You'll find that they aren't taking up space in your head like they used to, and that you're living a happier life. Truly, this will irritate a narcissist more than anything, and at the same time make them want to leave you alone because their attempts at irritating you are failing. The narcissist has been down this road many times in their life with other people, and they've come to realize that everybody has their limit, and eventually they figure it out. The sooner you tell them that you've got this figured out, the better. But let me make this very clear. Actions speak louder than words, so we're not going to be telling them we have them figured out. We're just going to merely show them by reacting as little as possible to anything that feels like crazy-making behavior. In summary, this isn't just the best way to try and get revenge on a narcissist. It might be the only way. The narcissist does not want you to be happy. You can beat them at their own game by not taking the bait and operating from a place of being genuine and sincere and true to yourself. Perhaps the best revenge truly is living well. If you enjoyed this content, you know what to do. I look forward to seeing you next time.